They're my sunflower lights. They help me fall asleep at night.
Surrounded by her soothing sunflowers,
Makes me feel safe.
this North Carolina 18-year-old says she feels at ease for the first time in her life.
I was born addicted to drugs because of my mom, and she was very unstable in her life.
RH, as she's asked us to call her, spent most of her childhood in and out of foster care. But in June of 2017, she'd be placed in a Greensboro, North Carolina group home. It's there that investigators say she was the victim of a sex trafficking ring. And it's why she's asked us not to identify her.
I was having seizures and so much anxiety and PTSD, and they just couldn't figure out why I was so medically and unstable. So they coordinated with DSS, the group home staff members. And leading up to this, I'm still being trafficked out to people. The director of the group home comes to me and says, "Oh, well, we found you a placement. It's called Cumberland Hospital."
March 9, 2018, the Department of Social Services would drive RH to New Kent County in the Cumberland Hospital for Children and Adolescents. She says she'd be greeted by Medical Director Daniel Davidow. RH says she'd detail her past trauma and triggers to the doctor prior to her admission physical.
And then he's like, "Okay, I have to make sure that your pulse in your private area is intact." He takes his hand with no gloves on still, and he puts his hand under he unbuttons my pants, puts them under my pants, under my underwear.
Allegations similar to those made by a dozen other young women who say they were sexually abused by Davidow while under his care. They are among the 20 former Cumberland patients who this past October filed a $127 million lawsuit against Davidow, the hospital, and the company that owns it.
I endured sexual abuse most of my life, but leading up to Cumberland, I was sexually trafficked for a year. And I was sent to Cumberland to be rescued from that, and I was put right back into like a trap, kind of like a prison.
Herschel Mickey Hardin is also named in the lawsuit. The former Cumberland psychotherapist is facing criminal charges for what RH and the Attorney General's office says he put her through.
He sexually abused me so much, I can't even remember or count the times.
And she says it started soon after she began opening up to him during her therapy sessions.
He was like, "I'm gonna try something." He straight up goes in, he takes his hand, puts it on like the right side of my cheek, and just starts to kiss me and make out with me. And I'm like, what in the holy crap is this place? So I push him off of me, and he looks at me and he says, "Did that trigger you and did that bother you?" And I said, "Yeah, it did. I'm extremely uncomfortable." He says, "I want you to know something. What I just did was to help you." And I asked him, "How does that help me?"
RH says as the months went on, her therapy sessions increased along with the sexual abuse.
And he pulled my pants down, and he'd take his hand, like cuff it and put it over my mouth so that I didn't make noises. And the normal routine of turning on the little sound thing, make sure the blinds were closed, make sure the door was locked.
RH said Hardin would threaten to keep her at Cumberland longer if she turned him in.
But I wrote in my journals a lot of times that I feel like a worn out pair of shoes, and like I just feel disgusting.
Were people starting to ask questions?
A couple of people, even some of like the other patients that I was close with, would ask me, "Why do you come back smelling like Mickey's clone?"
But she says that didn't stop Hardin from expressing his feelings for her.
And he made up code words like smiles of bunches, which means "I love you." So if we were near people, he would say smiles of bunches, and that meant him saying "I love you," and I had to say it back.
And buying her gifts.
That is the necklace with the moon and the heart attached to it that Mickey got me before I left Cumberland.
RH says the abuse ended in April 2019 when she was discharged from the hospital.
This is all of the letters that he sent to me
But she says communication with Hardin
always and forever, his love for me
would not end until she worked up the courage to turn him in. The case was presented to a grand jury, and in February 2020, Hardin was indicted on 2 felony counts of object sexual penetration.
These are the screenshots of his wife texting me right there.
A month later, prosecutors say Hardin's wife violated the terms of his bond when she contacted RH. CBS 6 has obtained 26 pages of text messages between the two. In them, Hardin's wife begins by telling her, quote, "Mickey is gone. I hope you achieved your goal. He's dead." She then accuses the teen of telling, quote, "all lies." RH responds by detailing the alleged abuse. In the end, Hardin's wife writes, quote, "I believe you."
What are your hopes for this case? Like, where do you hope this goes?
I hope that Mickey either rots in jail. I hope that he feels the pain that I feel every day when I wake up. This is me when I was in Cumberland at my darkest, and I'm pretty much out here now. I still have work to do, but I'm pretty out there.
RH says while she'll never forget the hurt that took place here, part of the work she has left is forgiving the people she says took what little innocence she had left.
I try not to let the past define my future.
Mickey Hardin is scheduled to stand trial February 10th. RH says she's looking forward to testifying. She has also retained the attorney who filed the lawsuit against Cumberland. While Dr. Daniel Davidow has been named in that civil suit, he has not been criminally charged. Working for you, Laura French, CBS 6 News.